Small cap stocks have been largely left behind in this year's market rally as AI and big tech have dominated the conversation. But as things pick up steam, some of those smaller, cheaper names are starting to join the fun. For a deep dive into these small cap stocks, we are bringing back in Jonathan Boyar, who is the Boyar Value Group president. Jonathan, all right, walk us through some of these small cap stocks because we were discussing Russell 2000 before this segment, but where within the small cap stocks are there particular themes that are emerging right now?
I think there are certainly themes, but I think it's important to do a stock by stock basis. But let's say one theme is publicly traded sports franchises. We discussed in the previous segment. You have Liberty Braves, which are going from a tracking stock to an asset-backed stock. It's controlled by media mogul John Malone. It's trading about $39 a share. We think it's probably in a sale worth the mid to high $50. He is not an emotional owner. It is our belief that he will sell the team at the right price. He's not the kind of guy who's buying a team to sit on the front row and watch the game. He's a capitalist at heart, and I think he will, shareholders will be rewarded. And then you have, being in New York, you have the Madison Square Garden Sports, which owns the Knicks and the Rangers.
But there you do have an emotional owner, don't you?
A little bit, a little bit. But you have to remember, if you look at the history of the Dolans, they bought Madison Square Garden, which included the Garden, the Knicks, the Rangers, everything for a few $100 million. So they're savvy people. We were investors in Cablevision and did quite well. And he sold it for a price that we never thought we would get. So our bet is at some point in time he either sells the entire team or he sells a stake in the team, which has become increasingly popular as you're seeing these private equity firms and sovereign wealth funds come into the fold, and that helps put a valuation on the teams. Right now, the enterprise value for the Knicks and the Rangers is $5.5 billion, which is ridiculous. The Knicks alone probably would go for over $8 billion in a sale.
Imagine if their record was better.
Yeah.
They had a pretty good year this year.
Yeah.
But yes, it's been if you're a Knicks fan, it's been a long 2 decades.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, that's unfortunate for you guys who are rooting for the Knicks still in the year of our Lord 2023. As we think about the small cap stocks right now too, is there more pickup among institutional versus retail from what we're seeing in the volumes and the inflows?
Yeah, I think for the institutions, they're probably for the most part buying the actual index. Yeah. But for those stock pickers, people are finding ideas, and eventually people will flock to valuation. But a lot of these are ignored. One of the names that I mentioned in the last segment is Howard Hughes Corporation, which is controlled by Bill Ackman. Only 5 analysts cover the name, so it's not like the most widely.
A mall owner?
It used to be part of General Growth Properties, which was spun out, and that was one of Ackman's biggest successes. He now controls Howard Hughes Corporation, which really owns master plan communities, some developments in Hawaii, as well as the South Street Seaport. And he just, he had a tender offer earlier this year for a lot of shares. It was undersubscribed. It was oversubscribed. People, he just keeps buying back stock every time it hits 75. So there's that Ackman put there, and we think it's selling at a significant discount to NAV. And over time, that discount will narrow, and it wouldn't surprise us at some point in time if he has a publicly traded vehicle in Europe if he merges the two.
It's really interesting. The names that you've mentioned, all maybe coincidentally, are closely associated with big characters. Malone, Dolan, Ackman. Is that a coincidence? Is that something you kind of look at to see what the advantages and disadvantages of that kind of ownership are?
I think Dolan is in its own category, so I think we like to invest alongside, owner operators or people with a lot of skin in the game. Malone hasn't had the best decade. A lot of his names haven't done as well, but historically he's been a great person to invest alongside of. But we want to invest along with great assets, and all of these companies that I just discussed are trophy assets. And at some point in time, value will be recognized, and you have a margin of safety there.
If only they could win a trophy, those Knicks. My goodness.
Jonathan, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Jonathan Boyar of the Boyar Value Group. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.